Good morning. This is Mike and David. On today's show, we got some interesting topics we're going to cover. Going to talk about the markets, what's happening today so far. Markets are down quite a bit. I should say quite a bit, but they're down a couple percent, at least the NASDAQ is. And why that is having to do with chips, semiconductors, and what was even said last night at the overall convention. And I'll specifically pull up NVIDIA because that's everyone's favorite stock to talk about. And then I want to see, I'll bring up another topic where we'll talk about what's happening within the auto world with leases, and not always the best choice, but at least bring up the impacts from that. And then David's going to cover the second most discussed stock, it seems like, which is Eli Lilly and weight loss drugs. You know, everybody wants to lose some weight. But before we get started, I have to remind everyone that this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence on anything that you hear in this presentation. More information can be found on ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and David's alone. So let me bring up today's market, and I will say I'm not wearing a red t-shirt today, but I probably should be because the markets are down. Now, they've been high every week for, it seems like the last 5 weeks. Seems like every weekend it's hitting new highs. So the market being down a little bit, is this any concern? Absolutely not. This is just normal market moves. Things happen. People move from one company to another. When you see the top headline, and some of these headlines just make me laugh. NASDAQ slides 2% as sell-off of tech winners like NVIDIA intensifies. I mean, they make it sound like it's dire gloom, like NVIDIA just, all their chips stopped working or they had a recall or something. So anyways, this is kind of normal. We talked a lot about coming into the election, there will be some volatility. I don't know that this is the beginning of it, but it's certainly, down some today, and nobody likes to see their stuff go down. So with that, I'm going to go into the semiconductor stocks because they're down quite a bit today. And when I say quite a bit, we're talking 5-6%. So what they attribute this to is some comments that were made, the convention about TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, having or Taiwan needing to pay for defense. So that makes everybody nervous, like, they could have a war. There's always concerns like that. Those are geopolitical tensions or events, and the market reacts accordingly. So we're seeing, here's the chip stocks. You can see Qualcomm, Marvell, ARM, NVIDIA, Taiwan Semiconductor, all off quite a bit. Hey, if you loved NVIDIA 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when it hit its all-time high, if you absolutely loved the company then and you were thinking about buying because you'd missed out, maybe now's the time because you just get it on sale for about 10-15% off overall. So, I'm going to bring up NVIDIA's stock, and it's down 5.5% today. And the graph I'm showing here is just a 3-month graph, and you can see that thing shot up to $140 a share. And people were asking about, hey, is now the time to buy? Well, it wasn't on sale, and this is a great example of how the stock market affects people. When things go up, you get that FOMO, that fear of missing out. I gotta get a piece of that, and I want to buy at the high. But when things go down, it's kind of like, oh, I don't want to buy there. It looks like it's down, or I want to sell what I've got. So looking at this thing today, it's down 5%. Hey, if you went down to the store and they said you could buy this thing that was the same as it was a week ago for 5% off, you might say, that's a great deal. I think I'll buy it today. And maybe some of you are. My phone's not ringing off the hook to buy NVIDIA, but and we're not suddenly adding it to our model just because we think we should. But you're going to see a drop in NVIDIA. One holding that we have in the model, JTech, which its majority holding is NVIDIA. You're certainly going to see those down. So I think the stock market makes some interesting things happen mindset-wise. Overall, when you look at, say, a NVIDIA, though, since I would say June 7th, you could almost say it's flat. And if you remember, NVIDIA had a 10-for-1 stock split. It was $1,200 a share, and it split 10 shares for at $120 a piece. You could say it's pretty much at the same place, right? So that's NVIDIA. Let me continue on, and I saw another interesting article, and why heavy discounts on leases could mean losses for automakers. Now, I will tell you that we don't have any automakers as holdings in our book, although I used to work for General Motors, and my wife works for Ford now. So we do have an interest in automakers. But as a consumer, when I read this article, and typically a lease is not the best way to buy a car. In fact, it's probably the most expensive way, because what you're doing is you're buying a car for the first 3 years of its life, or whatever, 3, 4 years, and that's the most expensive time when it depreciates the most. But I saw this article and I thought it was interesting because it brings up an interesting point, especially on EVs, that maybe you're interested in checking out buying an electric vehicle, and buying on a lease would give you a 3-year trial, obviously at a brand new vehicle. Um, and here's the thing: if the automakers start discounting those leases a lot, so they're losing money, that means you're kind of making you're not making money, but you're spending less money. So that just seems to me as an opportunity for people out there that maybe is the time, if you're looking at that, it's a possibility. So obviously you always want to do your research. Leasing, if you put a lot of miles on a vehicle, definitely not a good option. I've only leased one vehicle in my entire life. I've always bought, and I've typically not bought brand new, except for when I was working at General Motors and I got some great discounts. So with that, I will turn it over to David, and he'll talk to you all about weight loss. That's like 65% of us, of the population, want to lose some weight, but he'll talk about the pill version. So go ahead, David, take it away and talk about Eli Lilly.
Good morning, everyone. So Eli Lilly and Novo are sliding today off the news that, and let me share my screen real quick, that Roche is releasing a weight loss drug, and it's has some early success. So they just announced this recently, but they acquired the anti-obesity drug developer Carmot. I'm not sure if I said that right. Therapeutics back in January, as you can see here, and so they obviously knew this was, well, I can't say that. They probably, since January, they've known this drug has been in the works. So, and they're really popping today. But I tend to believe Eli Lilly is still the darling of the pharmaceutical stuff. They are screaming way higher this year. They're up 54% as opposed to Roche, which is up 7%. So, it's really popping today. And I think Eli Lilly's success, even though they've had the success in the anti or in the weight loss part of it, I really think the the Alzheimer's drug that they've been working on, that's been in the news, that's been showing success, is the real winner in this case. And so I don't know that I don't, you know, I don't know that I would want to buy a Roche, but if I owned Eli Lilly, I'm not selling for this, right, Mike?
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
think?
Well, Eli Lilly, I mean, they're doing the same thing a good stock portfolio is. They're diversifying. So
Right.
Eli Lilly is not strictly weight loss. They're hitting a lot of different things. I think what we're getting into with some of these weight loss drugs, is you know, if anyone's ever seen Something About Mary, the 8-minute ab program versus the 7-minute ab program. Like, why would I want to pay for 8-minute abs when I can get abs in only 7 minutes? So when these companies come out, they're going to be like, hey, if you take our drug, you'll lose 5% of the weight per month. And the next one says, wait, you can lose 6%. So you want to buy from us. So we're getting into this competition. Now, I will say, from a stock ownership perspective, and this is why Eli Lilly's down, you don't like competition. You don't
Right,
want that
yeah.
competition. But as a consumer, you absolutely want competition. So these companies have a reason to price things more affordably. And that's same for your insurer. So. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to run out and buy Roche, but it is interesting to see. At some point, I probably should have Googled it to say comparison of the weight loss drugs and what they say they'll do. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But anyways, enjoy, obviously, before you ever buy anything, a car, an investment, a drug to lose weight, obviously do your own due diligence and research and make sure you're making the right decision, because these are big dollar expenditures. So with that, have a great rest of the day. We'll talk to y'all later.